Hey everybody, welcome back to 15 Good Minutes. It's your guy, Coach B. As always, I'm here with the A-Team. Freddie, what is happening today, buddy?
Meatloaf on the grill. Meatloaf on the grill.
Meatloaf on the grill. That is something you're not going to hear very often. So maybe we'll get some kind of after-action report with Fred how his meatloaf turned out. Grilled meatloaf. JR, what's up, buddy?
Ain't nothing, man. Getting ready for these playoffs.
Playoffs is it, and we're gonna jump right into it. So just so you guys know, for me personally, next to March Madness, this is my favorite time of the year, straight up. This probably has to be like what the NFL is for Freddie, because I think that what's happening in Major League Baseball right now, so much good play. This is wild card weekend. Typically, we don't normally release our shows like midday Friday, sometimes early Saturday. This one's getting released before the very first game on Friday because we got a lot to cover. We're gonna try to keep it focused on the wild card. I got some stuff I want to get the opinion of the team on. And then we're going to come back and do a similar show when we get to the ALCS and the NLCS. And then we'll do one more once we know who's in the World Series. So kicking it off with the A-Team, right? So right off the bat, I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on the new playoff format, in the sense that for the first time, the wild card has more teams in it, and it's not just one game?
Well, I think anything is good to make money. It used to be riveting to watch that tiebreaker, that one game thing. So this is going to be just a little bit longer. I'm gonna wait to see how it plays out. It's just to me, it's just another added series to the series. But it's just more. This is longer.
Freddie, you got any thoughts on the new best of three series for the wild card?
I actually, to JR's point, I like the one game thing, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. But now when it is basically the game, best of three in the wild card, I actually think it is good because now everybody, you better bring it. You better bring it. It's just not it's one and done. It's okay if a Cinderella, if somebody goes on a hot streak and they pull it off or whatever. So I'm actually for it, actually outside of March Madness of all professional sports. This baseball and the NFL playoffs are probably neck and neck because I think this part of baseball is the most exciting. This is the most exciting part. So it's very close with football. Now we're not going to talk about the actual final game, the World Series, the Super Bowl, whatever, with just the actual playoff format. I actually like baseball's playoff system better than the NBA's. I really do.
I'm with you 100%. One, because everybody in Major League Baseball isn't going to get a free pass. You have nobody in the Major League Baseball playoff system that is a 500 or sub 500 team. And to both of you guys' points, I like both, and I know that just sounds like I'm waffling, but the excitement of the old wild card system was, don't matter who you are, you got one game to get it right or you're done.
Yep.
But I'm a big fan, and you guys have heard me talk about this before. I would rather have the top 8 teams in baseball, and I don't care if they were all in the same division. I want to see the best of the best play. And it bothers me probably more in the NFL and the NBA, how you can be in, let's say, I don't know, the NFC East and be a division winner at 500, and that just doesn't happen in baseball. So I'm interested, I'll say, Freddie, to see what the 3 games, the best of 3 is like. But to be honest with you, the last wild card team to win the World Series was the Washington Nationals, and that was under the one game system. I don't know if we would have won the best of 3. But
to defend them, they won the 7-game series.
But the first one is the one that matters. You got to win that to get over. And that wild card game was against a very good Milwaukee team, and it was a very trying game. So to your point, yes, they got over that hump. They took care of the Dodgers. They blanked the Cardinals and then went on to win the series. But that wild card game had so much pressure. You know what I mean? And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for the Nats, they were the visitor in each one of those situations. Had to go there. So with that, let's talk about the teams there. All right, you got 8 teams. You got 8 teams in there. So Tampa's going to be at Cleveland. Seattle's going to be at Toronto. And then over on the National League side, Philly would be at St. Louis. San Diego would be at the Mets. So now you have more teams. And in this best-of-3 format, JR, there's no travel. The team with the best record hosts all the games.
Oh,
You
okay.
with that?
Well, sort of no. Because you're saying the team with the best record. So that just means that they're 1, 2, or, whatever position. It's kind of like unless your fans are traveling, you don't have any energy. You know what I'm saying? You know how you say
True, but the
you're playing at home?
incentive, if you knew, for example, like if you're managing a team, I'll say like Cleveland, because we'll talk about Cleveland in a minute, but you Terry Francona, and you know right off the jump that you want to win your division. But if you can't, you want that home field advantage in these playoffs. And you know a game one that you're fighting for that so that you don't have to travel. And if you are managing that team, JR, and you're 6, 7, 8 games better than the Tampa Bay Rays,
Well, I kind of understand it for a 3-game series. It's kind of like senseless to keep traveling. So in a way, it makes sense. I guess if the real fans are going to travel, to wherever they, what I'm saying, wherever their team is going to play.
Tampa Bay is at Cleveland at noon. The Phillies will be in St. Louis at 2 p.m. Seattle goes to Toronto at 4 p.m. San Diego goes to the Mets at 8 p.m. So from where you sit, Freddie, how many of these will you actually be able to watch starting on Friday?
All of them.
Yes, sir. That is the answer. Ding, ding, ding.
Anyone that comes on television, I can actually, we'll talk about this another time, but I got my alternate television back working.
Oh, the one that you was missing last week?
Right, yeah. So I'm good now. So I can actually watch them all. In my opinion, I think baseball, it has 4 series. It's the one sport of those 4. Having a home field advantage, being at home, it doesn't necessarily benefit you.
I think you make a great argument. I am a fan of being the road team. I think my team is more focused because you don't have the home distractions, all the stuff you normally got going on in your house. We all together as one unit. We're in the hotel together. We're in the practice facility together. We're eating together. There's an element of that type of bonding. I don't care what the sport is that I think has its advantages. Not knocking what it is to have a home field advantage, but I agree with you, especially in this game. Let a pitcher get hot. Again, we can go back to 2019, wasn't that long ago, and Washington just caught fire. They were sub 500 at the All-Star break and had to go through some really good teams again. Milwaukee, St. Louis, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Houston Astros. Any one of them was picked to win it all. So
if you look at all of the home teams, they could be in trouble.
So the Seattle-Toronto matchup to me is the closest on the American. They're the 4-5 matchup. So I don't know if you guys remember, but when we talking about the NFL when it started a few weeks ago, Freddie made the comment about the way that the Detroit Lions are playing and how they just kind of play free and loose. I think that's Seattle in baseball. Mm-hmm. I think Seattle just been playing like we don't care what's going on. We got arguably the rookie of the year, right, in Rodriguez. They're just out there playing. So, yeah, they can go into Toronto and win. Let's start with that series, and I'll start with you, Freddie. So you got Seattle going into Toronto. Give me a winner.
Toronto.
Okay. JR, Seattle, Toronto. Who you got?
I like Seattle, but if I'm gonna go with Seattle just because you said.
You sure? I mean, you can't even form the words right, bro.
Speak your mind.
Because if Toronto's hitting.
Hold up. Let me stop you right there. You start a sentence off with if blank is hitting. That applies to all 18.
Oh, no. I'm just going with Seattle.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm going with Seattle.
You got Seattle. Okay, I'm gonna go with Toronto only because I think for the larger part of the season, now, and I haven't, to be fair, guys, I haven't looked at any of these head-to-head matchups. I don't know what they played like during the year. It doesn't matter to me because I think the playoffs are special. But Toronto is they got good pitching. They got really good hitting. I'm going with them in that series. Freddie, I'm going to move over, staying with the American League. Tampa Bay's at Cleveland. Give me a winner.
Tampa. Mind you, remember
oh.
I said earlier when we talked about earlier this season, I said I thought Tampa could be a team that gets hot. I'm gonna go with the Rays.
Wow, JR. Tampa Bay is going to be in Cleveland for the maximum of 3 games. Who are you going to go with?
Cleveland.
I'm with JR on this one, and well, I'll tell you why a little bit later. So right now, I'm just going to say Cleveland. Okay, great. Over to the National League. JR. San Diego, St. Louis. San Diego is going to St. Louis. Talk to me. Yes. Who's winning that?
Sentimentally, I'm going with the Cardinals.
I'm going with San Diego right now. I'm going to Padres.
San Diego. I'm going to San Diego.
JR, over to you for the last series on the National League side, right? You got another 4-5 matchup. Philly, who just got into the wild card at the end of the season, going up against the New York Mets. Give me a winner.
I'm going with the Mets. They're not really as strong as they supposedly look. They got a lot of pitch. They got a lot of pitchers.
I agree with you, JR.
They got a lot of pitchers hurt.
But I'm gonna go with the Mets. I agree with you though, JR. I agree. I don't think they're as good as we think they are, but I'm gonna go with the Mets. And
that's the thing to think about too, JR. Now, yes, I'm going with the Mets as well, but the thinking here is you only got to win 2 games.
Yeah.
So you might have, this may be totally different when you get into the ALCS and the NLCS. You got a 7-game series. But if I'm starting DeGrom and backing him up with Scherzer, I'm playing at home. I got to go with the Mets. And I'll say this about the Mets: regardless of what they may or may not look like, they won 101 games.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They won 101 games.
It's still a wild card team.
That bothers me. We had that situation last year, if you recall. Yeah. The Los Angeles Dodgers and San Francisco Giants had to go down to a game, and then a team with 100 wins has to play in a wild card game. That's the stuff I would like to fix. What team do you see sneaking out of the wild card? That could, and it doesn't have to be a team that you just picked to win a game. If there's one team, and I'll start with you, Freddie, of the 8 that would be considered a ooh factor to get out of the wild card round, who would that be for you?
It would be the Mets.
Wow, interesting. And I say interesting because you picked them to win the series, but you say it would be a sneak one if they got through it. That's interesting. JR, who's the one team of the 8 that you would consider a sneak factor if they get out of the first round here in the wild card?
Phillies.
Philly's not a bad choice. I would have to go with Seattle because, again, I think they're playing with house money, right? Then the other question I would ask, and I'll start with you, JR, who's the one team that you will not be surprised at who should breeze through the wild card round?
Cleveland.
Ready?
Toronto.
Interesting. I'm going with Cleveland too. I think Cleveland is I'm not going to say they're unheralded, but they're doing some things. They haven't had a whole lot of TV time. I think they can be trouble. And if they win this wild card round 2-0, that means that they're going up against the beloved New York Yankees in the next round. That could be trouble. So just so that we recap that, the winner of Cleveland Tampa will face off against New York. The winner of Seattle and Toronto will face off against Houston. I was going to say I hate Houston. I really don't like Houston, but damn it, they're playing well. The winner of the San Diego St. Louis series will face off against Atlanta, and the winner of Philly and New York will face off against the Dodgers. So that kind of leads to our question of the week this week for our audience. Give me a team that is going to go through this weekend without a loss. That means that they're going to win the first 2 games of their series. Find us on Twitter at 15 Good Minutes or right here on youtube.com/15 Good Minutes. There's 8 teams in the wild card. Tell me your team of those 8 only that you expect to get out of this weekend unscathed and undefeated. Looking forward to this wild card weekend. Freddie, anything for the group before we break out?
Barbecue meatloaf.
I hope it's good. We will find out.
Yeah.
JR, what's up before we leave, man?
Nothing, man. Just like I'll be watching from work, I guess.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll all be on the wire. We'll see what happens. And if you haven't had a chance to watch any baseball this year, this is a good time as any to start. You're going to see some of the best players in the world doing the thing that they work so hard to do. Get in there and get yourself, watch some baseball. Make sure you hit us up and get that question of the week answered. We will see you guys next week.